We're good. We're on. We're live. Um, Good morning. Good afternoon, wherever you are. I guess it depends where you are. Thanks for joining us again for another SilviaFindings live stream showroom event thing. Um, we do these every Wednesday, 10:30 a.m. Pacific time, and you can extrapolate to wherever you are around across the country or the world if you're watching from wherever. To connect with our audience because generally, previously, pre-pandemic, we spent a lot of weekends at shows, visiting with our customers, getting to know you guys one-on-one, which is awesome. And we miss that. We miss connecting with our people. So we try to do this to feel a little more like we're together. Um, Bring you some information, some product info, some show you some new things that we've got in. Most importantly, answer any questions you have. Couple of housekeeping items. If you share this live stream, I'm not sure which button you would press somewhere. If you share that to wherever, you get we'll send you a free polishing cloth, one of these awesome polishing cloths. And if you place an order today while we're on live or after, you know, you'll get free shipping, free regular shipping, I should say. Or we'll pay the difference if you want to use upgraded shipping, DHL shipping, which is kind of a nice segue into my weekly rant about the poor state of Canada Post service. I promise I'm not going to be really hard on them this week as much as I was last week. They do seem to be getting a little better. I think the last longest furthest away shipment we did, we're in British Columbia. The last shipment we sent furthest away was to Nova Scotia, and that one took 17 days. So we're getting better. They do say, though, Canada Post does say, though, that deliveries will take between 2 and 45 days, which I still find kind of amazing that they're willing to say, well, maybe it's 45 days. You never know. I get that things are tough with, quarantine and extra safety measures and stuff. And, happy to give them the opportunity to keep us safe. But still, 45 days. That's hopefully we never have something that actually takes 45 days anywhere. But this is what it is. We've been having doing a lot of shipments, especially to overseas customers. Germany, we've had a couple in Great Britain now, several to the States, where people upgrade their shipping to DHL. Which is especially good deal if you are ordering a lot of stuff, which we always are welcome to accept your orders for lots and lots of stuff. Right now the rate into the US is $25, and you'll get that within a day or two at the most. I know we have a customer in Germany who's ordered a couple times that we ship stuff like on a Tuesday and she gets it on a Friday, which is, to me, is pretty amazing considering, if you ship it via post, you're looking at easily 3 weeks, 4 weeks. I still have a couple of outstanding shipments that we shipped at the beginning of June that we're going to, one was to Malta, which I guess there's a boat involved no matter how you do it. So that's probably not over the out of the realm of possibility. But other shipments like to Australia and have one to France. That's still 6 weeks. I think we're still the last time I checked. Anyway, but it's still somewhere, which is nice. So that's it. That's it for my rant. If you're shipping via post, just beware. Things might not come very quickly. We have a lot less problems shipping via post into the US because we use service. If you've watched any of these previous streams, you know I've talked about them before. A service called Chit Chats, where they take the package that we buy U.S. Postal Service postage online here, stick the U.S. Postal Service label right on the package. I bring it to them because they're just here in Richmond at the end of the day, and they stick the packages on a truck and drive them across the border and then mail them from Blaine, Washington to wherever. So, and U.S. Postal Service, I just can't say enough good things about them. I think even considering their potential slowdowns, you know, or get stuff. I think the last shipment that I remember looking at was shipped to Virginia, which is in the opposite coast of us. Which, if we were shipping from here to Nova Scotia, what was it, 17 days? You know, from here to Virginia, which is in another country, and as far away, at least on the other coast, only took 5 days. So, you know, the whole trip from getting it across the border and then going into the mail and then going into things. So, U.S. customers, your postal infrastructure is great. Please don't let that go away. I know there's some talk about defunding the post office. Is a bad idea. It's an awesome service. You guys have it great down there. Trust me. Anyway, enough of that. I wanted to talk today a little bit about rings. You know, and we have tons of product here. Everything from clasps and jump rings and beads and wire, sheet metal, setting pendants. So, you know, pendants for different shaped stones for setting. Bales for, you know, pinch bales and glue-on bales and all kinds of bales. I talked a lot about bales last week. But we also have a huge selection, like easily 300 different styles of rings. And I want to talk a little bit about them and you know, what you should be looking for depending on what kind of a stone you have. You know, like all the settings, like all the pendants, all the whatever, all the stone settings, they all are basically built or designed around a seat for the stone to sit in. And depending on the shape of the seat, the ring may be more appropriate for a cabochon or more appropriate for a cut stone. Obviously, when you're talking about a ring with a cut stone, the setting has to be high enough up from the face of the ring so that the culet, the pointy edge of the bottom of the stone, doesn't jab you in the finger. So just let me just look through here quickly. A couple of examples here. So here's a good example of a ring. See that seat there is a little bit beveled, right? And by the seat, I mean, let me just get a pen quickly. By the seat, I mean this part of the setting, right there, where the bottom of the stone sits on that. So that has a little beveled surface. You could definitely put a cabochon in there. You know, hopefully the cabochon goes right to the edges of the prongs, so it'll sit on the top of that very easily. But this is designed for beveled stone, cut stone, and it's got a basket in the bottom, so depending on the height of the pavilion of your stone, this will definitely sit high enough up from your finger that the stone won't, you know, pinch you and scrape against your finger. Whereas something like this, right? A little pear-shaped stone setting. Well, I guess it depends, situational. But depending on the shape of the size of the pavilion and the culet on the ring, that might stick past the bottom of that thing and poke against your skin. So every time you actually pulled it on and pushed it on, it would scratch. So when you're looking at rings, you should definitely take into consideration, first of all, the kind of stone that you're putting in there. While most of the rings, I think, you could get away with putting, cut stones in the ones that are designed for cabs, or, ones that you could put cabs in, ones that are designed for cut stones. Some you just couldn't. Like there's, this one here, nice round stone, nice flat seat for a cabochon or a round. This is for a 10mm cabochon. This has a bar for security in the bottom of that seat. You couldn't put a cut stone in there. It just wouldn't work. So, I guess that thing. This is MTR 197. It's a good versatile one. $14.86 is the retail price, and $9.70 is the wholesale price. These have great, nice, big, long prongs in there. I've seen, so you see so many, small cabochons that are hand cut, especially when they're things like moonstones or labradorite, opals, stones that have chatoyance, that flash in them. A lot of times lapidaries will cut them, deeper, because the shallower you make them, the thinner you make them, the less of that flash you have, the less you have of the internal gap matrices of the stones working against each other to create that, those colors. So deeper stones always get better flash, better colors, always, usually. I've seen some opals that are nice and thick, but they're so dark that you almost can't see the colors in them unless they're in the light. But usually, the thicker the stone, the more interesting the colors are, the more flash you have. And these prongs would be great for those kind of things. Now, one thing about prongs, and it might be a good time to show you one from, one of our many men's rings. So here's a gentleman's ring, which the seat on this, again, beveled. This is pretty high up of a basket, so depending on the shape of the pavilion of the stone, you could definitely put a cut stone in there. You could definitely get away with a cabochon in there pretty easily. But these prongs are, giant. Clearly they're bigger than you would need them for the vast majority of stones. And they're done this way on purpose, because depending on if you are putting a cabochon or you're putting a cut stone in there, depending on the edge geometry of the shape of the stone, you would need to cut these down and dress them accordingly. Generally, and I could draw this pretty quickly. Here's my terrible drawing of a stone. But generally, a prong setting, you only need this to go up about 10% up the size of this edge here. This, right? The girdle. Up above the girdle. I usually like to cut them so the end of the prong will end about 50% up the height of this thing. But I think, if I remember correctly, when I was doing studying this stone setting classes is that I was told, 10% is generally the most acceptable height. You don't need very much of the prong to get over onto the girdle, onto the crown. Get past the girdle, because the girdle is this edge, and then this side is the crown. You don't want to get too far up there, because then the prongs begin to occlude the facets and you might lose some of the flash, although I don't really notice that most of the time. So for this kind of a ring, you would put the stone in there, you would get a Sharpie and draw a line where you need that to go, snip the excess off. Obviously you want to get those as even as possible. And then file the edges. I almost always like to file, the inside a little bit flat, and then, file the edge into a nice little dome. And you could do that with a cup or just with a regular old little needle file to file that into a curve. So you get a little bit flat on the inside, a little bit curved at the top, and then you could just do that with a regular old cutters, and then a file to make the edges the right shape, and then using one of these polishing blocks. We sell these. One side, the green side, is nice and coarse to take out any file marks, and then the white side is real fine polish to get the edges nice and shiny. And then, of course, you could use, if you were a real jeweler, you'd spend a few minutes using a couple different kinds of rouge, or maybe some Kratex wheels to polishes to make the surfaces, perfect. But then you could, push these prongs over onto the stone, and it'll be perfect. Halfway up the crown, 20% of the crown. It doesn't really matter. It depends on the person. But this is why at shows, sometimes when people come with they want a men's rings with these, if I haven't brought my flex shaft or thing, it's tricky to set these at shows, because the prongs really most of the time need to be cut down to size as you need. Here's another example of that, a ring that is specifically designed with prongs that are giant. For those cabs. I don't know, maybe this is longer than you strictly need them to be, but I have seen some cabs that are that high that these prongs would not be inappropriate. These are already flat on the inside, so when you measure these and cut these down to the right shape, or the right length, I should say, very easy just to file the tops of these prongs into a nice round little curve and push them over onto the thing. Again, nice flat seat in there. So with a flat seat like this, it's pretty much saying that, oh, this needs to have a cab in there. Although you could definitely get away with putting a cut stone in there. It would just depend on the edge geometry. The higher up this seat is without a bevel, the higher the stone will sit up in there, kind of thing. And it's not a very deep basket, so it would have to be a pretty shallow stone anyway. But then you could get away with cutting these prongs way down and just pushing that onto the crown of the stone. Anyway, this is a really good versatile ring. MTR029 is the code number, and the retail price is $13.05, and the wholesale price is $9.50. That's for a 10 by 12 millimeter cab. You see a lot of cabs at shows that are giant, that are just massive, and we don't have a lot of really huge ones, but the ones we have are awesome, like this one. Gosh, I've set so many stones in this ring. Some, and actually, a lot of the times when people order custom stuff, which I haven't spoken about yet, but let me just segue quickly into custom things here. If you have a stone that, your uncle, the lapidary, cut for you, and and it's great and it's beautiful and it's gorgeous, has deep sentimental value, but you can't find a ring that will fit that, especially if it's a great big one. Something like this is a good place to start, you know. I know we've done, because I've actually done the drawings for them, a couple of custom rings where this ring was the basis for them, and then we just adjusted the shape of the basket, you know, to go, or to match the size of your stone. And our custom services, deeply underutilized service that I think more people should take advantage of, because especially for custom jewelry, boy, if you walk into a jewelry store and you bring them a cabochon and you say, hey, I have this ring or this cabochon this stone I want a ring made for, without even looking at the stone, the jeweler first will say, cha-ching, you know, here's my payday. But you're going to be looking at, you know, between $300 and $600 for them to cast a ring in sterling, a lot more if it's gold, because they have to actually carve out of wax. Usually they do it. Some are starting to use more, you know, 3D CAD drawings, and they'll do a drawing and then they'll do a 3D print of, you know, the wax or resin blank that they'll use to cast later, or they'll make a mold of it, and they, or not, they might just cast it. But they're going to charge you an arm and a leg for that, where our price for custom items, you know, something like this is under 5 grams. That would probably cost you like $60 Canadian dollars. So if you're in the US, it's way less. You're looking at like, you know, $50. And then we have different options for shipping if you're willing to wait and have it come from the factory with one of our normal shipments. Then delivery to here is free, and then if we ship it from here to wherever into the States, it's like, you know, $8 Canadian. If you're shipping it within Canada, it's more, because I'm trying not to dunk on Canada Post too much, but Canada Post shipping is a lot more expensive than US Post. But anyway, or you could pick it up at the office, and if you pick it up at the office, we'll even set the stone for you. But anyway, this is has been the basis for a lot of the custom rings, just because it's a good, awesome, classic, simple design, right? Split shank. You know, prongs are a good height for cabs or cut stones, although this, given that the seat has a bevel in there along the edge, right? See that bevel in that seat? This setting was clearly designed for cut stones, although like most of the ones like this, you could use it for a lot, for either cut stones or cabochons. This MTR 124 is the code number of that, and the retail price is $24.93, and the wholesale price is $18.65. Now this one, the production one that we have is for a 16 by 24 cabochon, which or cut stone, which is I think probably the biggest ring that we have. If you need something bigger than that, well, actually, I have seen lots of rings bigger than that. I guess it depends on, you know, what your taste is. I just want to show another couple of things here. God, there's so many rings. This will take hours. If you have a stone that's a really unusual shape, this is a really awesome, versatile little ring. And this one we've got in so many. I think we've got from like size 5 all the way up to size 12. MTR 369. The retail price is $17.24, and the wholesale price is $10.78. And this, you can just take these wires and bend them into whatever. You know, I've done so many different things. You know, people at shows, golly, there's almost always a dealer that have Herkimer diamonds, which if you've ever seen them, they're just kind of irregular shaped crystalline stones that are awesome. But we have almost no settings that will work for those because they're completely irregular shaped, and most of our settings are appropriate for calibrated stones. But this one you could do, golly, whatever you want. Here's a sample of I guess an egg-shaped cabochon that I just made little, spirals in the ends of those wires and pushed those down onto the cab and held that in there. That's a really neat little thing. Set lots of, cabs this way. Irregular shaped Labradorite I've done a bunch of. I guess it depends on, what you've got. One of the great things about the gem shows that you hopefully will start doing again soon, next couple of months, maybe. We'll see. Is you get so many people who actually cut their own stones, and you'll get some calibrated ones, but it seems some people tend to be drawn to the irregular shaped stones, and it's nice to have an option, for them to do that. Now, last time Marble was going to the factory, to visit the factory, to I guess kick them all into shape, get everything scheduled as far as production schedules go and stuff. He asked off the top of my head if I could think of anything that we needed, anything we were missing, if there were any gaps in the product lines. And when I thought of rings, I thought the things that we're missing mostly are settings for round stones. We have tons of ovals, like, gosh, I don't think there's any size oval up to 10 by 14 and smaller that we don't have a ring that would work, that somebody would be happy with. But for round stones, it was curious to me that we only had a handful of them. Well, this has all changed now. The thing after his last trip, we got all these things. These are all new setting or new rings. God, these are just awesome. Everything from little tiny, get this, from these cute little, I can make this go here. This is not going to focus on the thing. Let me try to get that. Right. A couple little CZs there, a couple little curly Qs, and a cute little tiny 3mm setting. I don't know any jeweler who doesn't have a bunch of 3mm, 4mm stones lying around that they've picked up, that they've acquired from repairs that they've done, or just have lying around. God, you just pop a little stone in that and you've got a beautiful heirloom. The retail price is only $10.68, and the retail price is $6.68. $10 for a ring that you could put a $10 stone in and sell for $50 is a no-brainer. If you're doing this to sell, or super impressive if you are just giving it to your nieces or your girlfriends or whatever. That's a cute little, I don't know, that's a nice little girl's ring, niece ring. I don't know why I think of nieces. I have one, a niece, not a ring. Here's another one, right? 3mm chock full of CZs around the outside of that. I don't know if you could see those, but that's just gorgeous. And a couple of, here's a interesting in that this is for 4mm stones, but we don't have many rings that have for multiple stones. We have one other. I'll try to find it around here somewhere. Um, but this is just awesome, right? These cute little rows of cubic zirconia that end in. I think it could almost be like sort of reminiscent of a Pisces or a yin yang sort of thing once you get the stones in there. I think those are awesome. You could put two of the same stones, or maybe maybe you and your significant other's birthstones. Oh, that's so cute. Oh my gosh. Here's so MTR 505, $12.75 is the retail price, and $7.97 is the wholesale price. It's cute. Let me pump it up. Here's a 5mm round. Again, this setting, it's got good sized prongs, so you could put a cab in there or a cut stone. It's got a nice basket deep enough for most cut stones. Classic split shank. Can't go wrong with that. That's almost a solitaire. Not quite, but it's a little more interesting than a solitaire, really, as far as I'm concerned. This MTR 454, $11.22 is retail price, and $7.01 is the wholesale price. And if you're not familiar with the wholesale resale structure, basically the wholesale minimum is $150. If you spend $150 or more, you can get the items at the wholesale price. That's $150 at the wholesale level. Here's a gorgeous 6mm ring. Look at that basket, is so cool. It's kind of a solitaire with the seat sitting halfway up in there. This highlights not only the the table and the crown of the ring, but also the pavilion, right up against the the finger, that you could see the whole ring in there. It's not usual. Usually the rings try to hide those. There's a great couple of alternating cubic zirconia sections, a nice little wavy sort of thing. Right? That's just great. I'm really happy with these marble. I will say. Here's one. You can't go wrong, right? With vines, flowery sort of things. More cubic zirconia elements up near the seat, up near the setting. Again, good sized prongs. That bevel, you could use this for a cut stone or a cabochon. Really appropriate for either of those. And I think most of these new rings, we've got them in everything from size 6 to 10, 6 to 9, 6 to 10, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Yeah.
For a small ring.
Yeah, really small rings. Although, if there's something that you find really nice, we're happy to make it custom for you. We're happy to do anything custom. Here's another one. God, I just love these filigree style rings. This has got a nice deep basket, but the top of that and the build up to the top of that is so interesting that a cab wouldn't seem out of place in here. Although you could definitely use a cut stone in there too, even one with a really super deep pavilion. Which is a problem for rings, because a lot of times the stones have got to sit so high up in the setting that it just looks weird, or it looks like, golly, if I'm just walking around, I'm going to catch the stone on something and it'll go flying. But on a gorgeous, deep basket like this, that's kind of disguised with this very, very cool filigree work. Really clever design. Really awesome. Again, ideal for a cabochon or a cut stone. Rows of cubic zirconias on either side. This is MTR 446, and the retail price is only $16.52, and the wholesale price $10.33. And that's for an 8mm stone. And I'll just show you one more of these. Actually, I'm going to show you two of these. But these are some 10mm stones. This really interesting. Let me see if I can get this to get in focus better. No, it's going to help me. Come on, do it. No. All right, let's try that. Oh, there you go. There's a good view of it. All right. Those kind of arches, between the outside edge and the inside seat, with pairs of cubic zirconias all the way around. Some beautiful texture in there. Again, the seat, perfect for a cabochon. I don't know. That basket is pretty deep, but not. I don't know. It would depend on the on the shape of the. If you had a really shallow cut stone, you could definitely put that in there. Although most 10mm cut stones have pretty big pavilions, because the deeper the pavilion, the more color enhanced the stone seems. I've seen aquamarines that if they were shallow would be almost clear, but the deeper they get, the bluer they get. So without chemically or heat treating them or radiating them to get different colors in the stones, just cutting them deeper gets deeper stone. So probably most ideal for cabochon, this ring, but gorgeous, nice round. And this one, MTR 521 is the code. Retail price is $17, and the wholesale price is $10.62. Golly, what a great price! And here's my last little of the new rings. Although we have a whole other tray of new rings that I could show you that are not round, but maybe I'll save that for another time. Next time, I might show you one or two. I can't resist. Anyway, here's another nice round, 10mm ring, floral accents on the side, again with some cubic zirconia accents in the little leaves on the side. Right, nice flat seat for a cabochon. Although this basket is deep enough that probably most cut stones would fit in there. Again, all you'd have to do is put the cut stone in there and then just check to see that the culet doesn't stick out past the the bottom of the ring. And even then, if it only it comes out a little, especially if the culet isn't pointy. A lot of times you'll see, again, it depends on the cut of your stone and what the lapidary wants the top of the stone to look like. But I've seen a lot of them where the culet is filed flat instead of to a point, and that just gives you a little different experience at the very top when you're looking through all that. Because the flash of all those kind of cut stones is just the the reflections of the light against the different facets against each other, and by so many different cuts you don't even know where to get started. I'm gonna show you one more thing, and what did I do with them? If you've ever been to the shows, you've definitely seen these rings in the trays. We've got one that's a good, pretty chunky sized ring, a little bit of a flat edge at the top and a square hole in the top. This one, much daintier version of that same thing with that flat hole in the top. And we have another one here with a lovely swoop up at the top and that square peg at the bottom. And what those are for, these rings are for, and this, I think Marble invented this, which is pretty ingenious if you ask me. We have a whole series, a whole line of different settings, and these settings have a square post in there, right? And you can take these settings, so get the ring that's the size that you want, if you want whatever, I think. And these we have in size 5 all the way up to size 12. Get the setting that you want. Get, you know, you've got a stone that you need to have fit, right? So you get this setting, and you just pop that in there, right? Turn that upside down on your soldering board. A little chip of solder right on that little thing, a little heat. Heat that up, solder that together, you know, polish the inside of that, and there you go, instant setting. You can have it, you know, parallel with the shank of the ring or perpendicular to the shank of the ring. I guess if you really wanted to, you could even twist it so that it was, you know, something other than perpendicular. But we've got these settings in, I forget, like 8 or so different styles, right? We've got these perfect for cabochons, right, with the little, you know, rings in the or stars in the edges to push down onto the stones. We've got other ones like these, right, for great big tall cabs. It's your classic basket settings in ovals, and you know, most of these, the oval ones, we've got everything from like 3 by 5 millimeter all the way up to 13 by 18 millimeters. So most calibrated sizes of stones, you'll be able to find something that fits in there. There's some rounds of that, right? That same concept. And these ones, these are in a little plastic bag, but I'll show you one. Right, that classic Tiffany, you know, prong setting that works great in this ring. That thing will sit down in there, right? Right, so just, you know, a little dab of solder there, file that off, make that perfect. And golly, it's just an awesome concept, you know, for any size stone. You know, if I were a jeweler, I'd have, you know, a couple of each of these different ring styles in every size, and I don't know, I'd probably pick 1 or 2 of each of all of the settings just to have there, you know, in a little organizer box. You know, somebody walks in to my shop or my booth if I'm at a show. Hey, I've got a little stone here, sort of thing. Yeah, I can do it. You don't even have to question whether or not it's possible, because, you know, the stuff is all here and it's already all made. You know, there are a lot of people who are really good, really comfortable with things like soldering. Soldering is really easy. I know some people have difficulty with it, but it's more a function of how you think about what you're doing. You know, when you're soldering, you're not really melting the solder. That's not the point of it. When you put the torch on the piece of solder, the point of it isn't really to melt the solder. The point of it is to heat the pieces that you want to join together all the way until they reach the temperature that the solder melts and flows against them and flows into the crystalline structure of the metal and joins them together that way. Lots of people are super comfortable with soldering, and even if you're not, boy, 2 or 3 practices on this kind of thing and you'd get it. You know, it's really not that hard. You don't need a lot of equipment. You can do it with a little butane torch that you can find at a kitchen store, you know, to make your creme brulee. Preferably one that, or I've seen them really inexpensive at like Home Depot You can buy the little Burnzomatic torches, you know, $40 or so. Although most good jewelry supplies will have them. There's a good brand out there that I think a lot of people use called Blazer that makes a good torch. It's around $100, but it'll last you forever. Oh, just a note about the gas, you know, just use butane that you can buy at any tobacconist, or novelty shops have them usually. It's just a can of butane. Don't buy the butane at the hardware store. Buy it at a tobacconist, because the ones that people use for filling up your butane lighters, the gases are normally triple refined or quintuple refined, and the more refined the gas is, the longer your torch will last. The diaphragm in there just gets gunked up if you use the crappy butane, but not important. You know, you could literally spend 10 minutes at a booth at a show, if it's not busy, you know, solder this thing together, throw it in the pickle, pull it out, clean it up, set the person's stone in there, and they would think you were like magic. So those jewelry findings, jewelry settings, you can find those on the website. I think they're an awesome concept, awesome deal. It's a little more involved than just buying a ring setting that fits your stone and putting the stone in there and pushing that in. I know I'm 6 minutes over. I'm going to wrap it up pretty soon. I do tend to ramble. But I think those are just an awesome concept and an awesome thing. And again, you know, jewelry fabrication is, you know, can be tricky. But if you break it down into little things, like, you don't actually have to learn how to fabricate the ring or the setting. You know, building settings, I've done it when I was learning jewelry making. Fabrication, making different stone baskets and different stone settings was really a pain. I'll just leave it at that. But these are already made for you, and there's so many different styles to choose from, and different shapes and sizes to fit most calibrated stones. Obviously, if it's a weird shape or a weird size, you know, you're not going to find something that works. But for most stones, I think we've got something that'll work for that. And it's simple. It's pretty easy. Don't let people tell you that jewelry making is hard. Soldering is not hard. It's just a function of trying it, doing it, not worrying about if you melt one or two pieces as you're learning. But you should find a good book or something that, or a good YouTube video. Although I hate sending people to YouTube because there's so many bad jewelry videos on YouTube. I remember I used to teach a class in etching on silver, etching on brass, on copper, and things, and the different chemicals you can use for those. And I remember somebody sent me a link to a YouTube video saying, "Hey Mark, would this work?" And the person was using literally battery acid on their things, and I was like, "Oh my God, please don't use battery acid when you're etching." So I haven't seen anything quite so egregious as far as soldering goes, sort of thing. But you can find some simple YouTube videos to help you learn that. And if you have any questions, I'm here. I'm always here. I'm a resource. I've been doing jewelry for 20 more years, 20-something more years than I care to admit. Longer than I've done anything else besides breathing is the way I like to describe it. So I'm a resource. We're a resource here. This is what we're here for, to help you out. If you have any questions about anything, about any of the rings or about any of the findings, obviously I didn't talk about any of the new pendants this week, but I'll do more of those next week. I'll just think, oh, you know what? I did put aside one. So here, I'm going to do this. My one favorite new thing every week, and this one, when I saw it, blew me away. I just love this. I think this is my favorite new pendant setting for a pear shape. a 21 by 30 pair. It's a glue-in setting, but I just love that fish with the garnet eyes and the marcasites in the scales. Nice big bail, so you can put a chain of just about any size in there. This is one of those things where it's like, it doesn't matter what stone you put in there, it's gonna be gorgeous. You're gonna wear it, and people are gonna stop you and say, "Holy crap, where'd you get that? That's beautiful." And again, this MTP 1167, and the retail price is $28.23. Wholesale price is $17.64, and that is my favorite new pendant that I was looking at today. Sometimes, you see something in a tray and your eyes just go to it, and it's like, oh crap, I need to make something with that. I've done lapidary, I've done cutting stones. I did that class at the Richmond Gem and Mineral Society. I know I got their name wrong. Sorry, guys. So I've cut stones, I know how to do it. It's one of those things that, and if you ever have find a gem and mineral club near you, and go and take a look. A lot of them have classes that are really inexpensive. A lot of times people will just show you how to do it. There's not a lot of people still doing lapidary work. It seems the demographic is skewing older and older, and this is one of those skills that you really don't want to die out. When the people I don't mean to be indelicate about it, but when the people who are doing it reach an age where they can't do it anymore, you don't want these kind of skills to die out. So find a lapidary club near you and go and look and see what they have to do. I will tell you from experience that cutting stones is not as hard as you would think it would be, but it's one of those skills that it's easy to do, but less easy to do really well. Again, the more you do it, the better you get at it. The more you realize, mistakes you're making along the way as you do it. But there's no good way to learn that stuff without getting your hands on it and doing it and making mistakes along the way. I've always found those are the best ways to learn those things. So I'm going to leave you with that. Again, a couple housekeeping things. Thanks for joining us this week. Again, every Wednesday morning at 10:30. Share this video wherever the button is on your screen, and we'll send you a free polishing cloth. We'll know that. If you have any other questions you would like answered, comments, concerns, you can either leave a comment here or email us or direct message us if you're on Facebook still. We're always here for you. You can, if you're on the website, we have a new a couple of weeks old chat box that you can click on, and either one of us, me or Marble or Nelson, will get on, and unless it's the middle of the night, we'll be sleeping, so we won't answer you. But I've been up at 10, 11 o'clock at night and had somebody log on, answer a question. I get them on my phone. If I'm not feeling too sleepy, I'll jump in and start chatting with them. So we're there most of the time. We're trying to be here for you. Because for years and years, you guys were here for us, and we miss you at shows. Golly, we miss doing shows. I can't wait till we can start doing those again, and seeing everybody, because something about the one-on-one that really makes it worth it. Awesome. A couple of other notes. Our showroom is open again by appointment, so if you just call ahead and make sure we know you're coming, we can prepare a thing, wipe down all the counters, and make sure everything is nice and COVID-free for you. What am I missing? I know I'm missing something. Talked about the free cloth. Oh, free shipping again. If you order stuff, I guess in the next 90 seconds while I'm still on here, free shipping is included. I am not looking at the feed, so I don't know how many people have logged on or if there were any questions. I think Marble would have told me if there were questions. So I'm going to assume that you're all good. Thanks for tuning in. I hope there was some information here that was good. Please log on to the website and have a look at the rings. Maybe you could look at them with a little bit, clearer eye, a little bit less trepidation. You could just jump right in there and say, "Oh yeah, this is what Mark was talking about," and be, fearless. We have a good return policy. So when you get it, the stones, if they don't fit, ship them back and we'll ship you one that will work. We're here for you. So thanks for joining. God, I went really late again. Thanks for tuning in, and we will see you next week, 10:30 Pacific time, next Wednesday for the SilviaFindings live showroom live stream. Okay, thanks. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, goodbye. We're done. Are we done?